Welcome to Coach on exploreClarion.com. Coach to Coach is brought to you by 814classifieds.com, your local place to buy, sell, and trade. My name is Ed Baumcratz, head coach of the North Clarion Wolves, and with me today is Coach Joe Ferguson. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Ed.
I just want to talk about what a wonderful season you guys had. Can you talk about, the season?
Well, yeah, of course, anytime you make the state playoffs, you're in a good position because you've obviously made it through your league and done well in that, and to get to the university court, which is a big goal of any team,
Absolutely.
is a lot of fun, and we're trying to do something here in the state playoffs now.
Right. Can you talk about being one of the top teams from the KSAC? You were definitely the top team, and teams underneath you were very inconsistent, including my own team, the North Clarion Wolves. But you guys did a great job of, you had maybe one stumbling block against Clarion, but other than that, you guys played well the entire year. Can you talk about, how it was to make that run and to keep the guys focused?
Well, statistically, we did well 2/3 of the way through the season, but we hit a point at the break point at about 2/3 of the way through the year, and we started to, other teams were kind of catching up to us a little bit. But we kind of got started off on the right foot, and everything was flowing well, and it appeared easy, but it's not as easy as what it
Absolutely.
seems. But we continue to work every night at practice, obviously working on fundamentals and doing the things that you need to do to win games. The last third of the season, we struggled a little bit more. The opponents were getting tougher.
Mm-hmm.
We might have been tightening up a little bit, maybe getting a little tired. And so it became a little more competitive. Obviously, Clarion knocked us off there towards the latter part of the season. And a lot of the games were tighter. Karn City, Montauk, you guys, everybody's giving us a game.
I'm sure every team scouted you real well. Once they see you start winning some games, I'm sure there were a lot of cameras started popping up in your gyms.
Yes, there were.
How do you feel about this year's team? Can you talk about the guys you have on the team?
Well, obviously, when you win, it's a good feeling. I really felt like coming into the season that we were a team that was going to be up towards the top. You never know till you get into the season, because what I've learned is a fella coming from a freshman to a sophomore to a junior to a senior season can change quite a bit. And so you're not sure how you compare, but obviously starting the season out, we saw where we were maybe at that level where we wanted to be. And so the pressure was more on to improve from where we were at to get to even a higher level.
Did you notice your support from your community? Once you guys started winning, kind of everybody maybe started jumping on a little bit and like to come watch you guys play?
Yeah, pretty much what we've seen any season. When you start winning,
Right.
People enjoy watching you play, plus they're hearing how well we were
Right.
doing, running the court and so forth. So probably about at the midpoint of the season, we started to see the fan base picking up and starting to jump on board.
And I think the game you guys play is fun to watch. It's enjoyable.
Yes, yeah. That people like the high-paced game.
Right.
We quite honestly focus a lot on defense on our particular squad, and again, that first 2/3 of the season, we were holding opponents under 40 points a game. As the season went on, we started giving up more points, and in the losses that we took, we were giving up too many points. So the defensive end of things is what we like. What the fan base likes, though, is, of course, a lot of scoring.
Right. You guys win KSAC. You go to beat Du Bois Catholic at Clarion High School, and then you hit Ridgeway. You've a great game up and down, overtime. Were your sales kind of slowing down? Was the air out of the sails there after that game?
I can't put a finger on it in regard to our play. I believe that the DCC game that they played, probably one of the best games of the year for them. I believe the fan base and the atmosphere of that game was such high intensity that both teams gave everything they had.
Yeah.
So I believe that took a little bit out of us in regard to legs as well as mental part of the game. So I really feel like that KSAC game is a really fun thing to do, but it definitely can take your legs away from you a little bit, and also the mental edge that I felt like maybe going into the Ridgeway game, had we had a different night, maybe another day rest or something, it might have been, the tables may have been turned.
Plus that court's what, 10, 15 feet longer, and
Quite a bit bigger.
it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is, isn't it?
It is a big deal, yeah. And again, I would take nothing away from
Absolutely.
Ridgeway. They're obviously a great defensive team.
They are.
The Northern Tier tends to be a better defensive league than what we are. I felt like we were there, and obviously we were. To lose the game by 3 points is disheartening, yet you know you're right there. It's a matter of a hoop one way or the other.
Right. How satisfied are the guys right now? Are they happy where they are, or do they want more right now?
Well, to be honest, we haven't really talked about that. I would say no, they're not satisfied. The goal was to win a district championship, and we didn't do it. And of course, we lost that consolation game to Johnsonburg, and
A game that doesn't mean a lot, to be honest.
no,
Placement.
and in retrospect, as I said, somebody else asked me the question in regard to, do you give that game away? And no coach is going to coach that way, nor is any player going to play that way. So everybody gave their best in that game. But when it's all said and done, the seeding is a little bit better for us to move ahead. But to answer your initial question in regard to, are we satisfied? No, we're not satisfied. We'd really like to get a district title. We'd like to represent the KSAC. Some KSAC team would like to win the district title here soon. You know, and I'd like to think that our next year coming up is going to be very competitive with the teams coming back.
Absolutely. Is it harder for you to coach today's athlete compared to 10 years ago?
I would say yes, and the biggest issue being probably social media. And the focus of the kids with the iPhones and with all the social media, their attention is drawn away from the game itself. And so to keep them focused, it's a little bit more difficult than it was 10 years ago.
Right. I agree 100%. You know, Twitter and Facebook, and you know, it's great as a fan to watch and follow the game, but as a coach trying to keep your players focused, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not trying to single out one player in your team, but you guys had some tremendous athletes on the team. But you might have one of the best players in the conference and in the district in R.J. Legan. Talk about him, and you know, he's one of the most modest players you'll talk to. As a coach, I enjoy watching him, even though he's on the other side. You know, he's so respectful and so plays the game so hard. You know, can you talk about him a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. And again, I don't like to single out any athlete, but I will, in speaking on RJ's behalf, probably the biggest thing that you alluded to was in regard to his temperament, his mannerism on and off the court is extremely polite. He's a hard worker. He is definitely a court general, and I believe he's the best player in the league. And he's just a pleasure to coach in that you've got a coach on the floor, you know, as well as you can be sitting there and he's going to give you ideas. He's going to say, hey, coach, this is what's going on. But more his character. I speak more about our kids in terms of character, and we try and put the Lord first in everything we do, and everything builds off of that. We want to be of good character. We want to be respectful, and RJ just sets a great example of that on the floor.
Right. Next year, you're losing two seniors, Bakewell and Slater. So the harder your team's coming back, so that's going to be a little bit of pressure probably going into this offseason. How do you go into this offseason knowing that you expect them to be where they are next year, for playing for the district title, playing for the KSAC title? What are you going to do this offseason?
Well, no doubt there's going to be more pressure there because you're going to have a target on your back. In regard to how we'll approach the season, will probably be more to refine on the fundamentals of the game and on boxing out some of the things that happened to us in the playoffs and in the Ridgeway Johnsonburg DCC game. We gave up a lot of offensive shots off of not boxing out on free throws. So we're going to work on the detail things of the game, but also on the mental part of being strong as the season goes on, to not let up. I feel like we maybe dropped off this season. The mental edge was left because we were winning by such a margin. So I feel like we really have to concentrate on being deliberate and you said we were consistent, and we were, but I want to be even more consistent, more refined on everything that we were doing this year.
You guys were blessed with two very strong post players, freshman Callan,
Yeah.
who I think came out of nowhere. Nobody expected him to be where he's at right now, and Colton Stiglitz. You know, talk about having those two underneath you. Plus, you have a guy coming off the bench who's also what 6'3", and Lopez. So you have three guys who can body up a lot of guys.
Well, you're giving Cesar a lot of credit. He's actually about 6'1",
okay.
but he plays like he's 6'3". He's actually our most physical post player. And yes, Dan started out the season. He didn't get to play in the first couple games in our tip-off tournament. And coming out of junior high, you're not sure what you're going to get bumping up to that varsity level. So as the season progressed, we were working him in from the junior varsity level, and he just continued to progress on his fundamentals and understanding what he needed to be doing. And wow, what a great surprise and an addition to the team. And again, those two are cousins, so they're kind of out of the same mold, maybe.
Right.
Grandpa would probably like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really nice to have two big guys like that. And one of the big things we're going to be working on going into next year is what we're going to be seeing, I know, against Bishop Carroll in their big man, Marcus Lee. He's about 6'6", and he plays at an extremely strong post position. That's what I'm hoping to get these guys to be working on as individuals over the summer is working on their post position.
What do you think it's going to take to win that game and maybe win a couple more and get deep into the state playoffs? What do you think?
Well, I really believe our defensive effort, we've been a fairly good defensive man-to-man team throughout the course of the season. I'm not sure if that's what I'm going to be playing tomorrow night against Bishop Carroll, but we're going to be looking at a man-to-man defense, and I really believe we have to stop that Marcus Lee, which is their post player, and then there's a Brandon Martinozzi at number 23 that's a guard. He's probably only 5'11", 6 foot, but he can score pretty much from anywhere in the court. Pretty quick. Not unlike a lot of the guards that we've seen in our own league. Christian Seifert, for example. We've got a lot of guards that are very similar to Brandon Martinozzi, so I feel like we can match up with him. My concern is more their post player. He plays so strong offensively, defensively. And then last of all, just our shooting. We've got to drop shots from the perimeter, which is something we really dropped off on at the end of the season.
How do you feel about your first round? You got Bishop Carroll. You talked a little bit about them, but you know, what do you expect out of them?
Well, the film that I've watched on Bishop Carroll, they're strictly man-to-man defense from what I've seen in the games that they played. They're strong right across the board. They play about 7 guys. Very good guard play. Their guards can handle the ball, both right and left-handed. They're a type of in-your-face defense, very similar to Ridgeway, how Ridgeway played us. And I think that it should be a good matchup. The post play may be the difference in the game. Post play, and I'm concerned again about our outside shooting.
Well, Coach, that's all I have. I think you did very well with your first live interview here.
Thanks.
Coach Ferguson, thanks for joining us. Good luck in the playoffs on Saturday. Is that correct? Or
Friday
Friday. Where
night.
are you playing at?
We are playing at Richland High School, just outside of Johnstown.
My name is Baumcratz for exploreClarion.com. You've been watching Coach to Coach. Thanks for joining us.